Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to CHOW CHAT with Yasser. And after many months of discovering and figuring out what this is going to be about, I think I have the answer now. This is a place where we answer my questions that I think are personal. So I'm here with Sheikh. I think we call him next angle, but he will tell you his real name now, Shah.
A student.
Sir.
My name is Dr Bello, and of course, I am a student of knowledge, not a sheikh.
A student of knowledge.
But we're getting there. We're getting there, inshallah.
Inshallah, soon. So before we start, we have a ritual and a tradition. We give every guest a fancy name that they can carry along as a gift. So for him, his name today will be the vocal doctor.
Wow. Look at that name. The vocal doctor. Okay.
And I guarantee you, eventually, you see why. Picture vocal and doctor separately first. You will see why.
Okay.
So I know him personally, so I don't want it to feel like an interview. I know the amazing things that he achieved in his life, and I want him to properly sell himself to us first before I get into my questions. Personally, for me, I know that he's a doctor, and I think he's one of the best qira'at I've heard in a very long time in terms of honor. So we like to follow him in prayers a lot. So, Mr. Sheikh, student of knowledge, please tell us a little bit what you do in the creative world and then in the professional world.
Well, to start with, notwithstanding, I'd say I'm a very simple person, and in my little creative world, I do something of, that I'd say something that I call being very simple. So I do my things in a very simple manner. And that is why, when it comes to my line of work and my line of spirituality, I always try to make it something that I can achieve, not letting my work go into where I would be forcing myself to, attain my high level of spirituality. But yet again, since throughout the journey of my life, where I've studied science, studied medicine, and studied, of course, my religion, I've experienced a whole lot of paradigm shift, which has let me understand the whole process of how a person should live in this dunya before moving to the other side. You just take the basic things to move to the other side, and that's how I live my life. I live my life with the notion which says that just have enough to go to the other side. Khalas, that's all.
So he's been humble as always. I told you, he's a very humble guy. He forgot to leave out the part that he recites very amazingly. And surely, since I want to prove to you guys, Mr. Sheikh, next angle, I have a mini challenge for you.
Okay.
So the second half is we have on the page, by the way. And we want you to showcase your amazing recital for your favorite ayah, and then just a translation as to why that is your favorite ayah. And you can eat, eat. Don't let him eat this tomorrow.
All right. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروني ولا تكفرون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاح إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. So the reason why I specifically choose these verses to be one of my best verse in the Holy Qur'an. When you take a look at the verses in this chapter, Surah Al-Baqarah, it encompasses everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like it's basically giving us a guideline of how we should live our life. And in these verses that I have recited, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ وَاشْكُرِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ, He says, remember me and I will remember you. Okay? So in the times that we live in this world right now, you'd see yourself in situations where you would be in a threshold where you don't even know where to go to. You don't even know who to turn to. You have your parents, you have your friends, but still you lack that inner self peace. And then when you go back to the Quran, of course, you see where Allah says, "Fashkuruni ashkurkum." He's waiting for you to come to Him. And that's why He says, when you remember me, that I am always here. No matter what happens to you, I'm always here and I will never leave. And remember me, then I will remember you. Okay? And this is one of the, paramount things I always tell people. Like when you even go further on the verses, it mentions how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests you with all. He particularly mentions all these things in order. Why? He tests you with wealth. He tests you with loss of anything, loss of wealth. He tests you with fear. He tests you with loss of lives. But at the same time, he wants you to understand that this is not something that was done to, let's say, maybe make you feel that maybe you did something wrong or maybe you're not on the right path. So many at times, so many people, so many disbelievers, they come and they always ask the question. One of the questions they ask is, why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishing us by giving us, like for example, the bubonic plague? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like looking at the situation of Israel, Palestine, sorry, and the situation that they are in? Why is He not giving us an outcome? But when you take a look at this verse, it encompasses everything. It shows you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already mentioned that these tests will come. All these tests will come. And at the end of the day, what happens? He said, قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Whatever happens to you, whatever afflicts you, you should always remember that it is to Him that you will return. Your Lord, the Allah that has created you, which has given you all these tests. And that is why I said, the Quran is something of, pure magnificence, and, something that we cannot even come close to understanding how, miraculous and amazing it is. And I could speak all day about these verses, but we'd have to continue, of course. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sheikh. Yeah, Sheikh. I love the fact that he delved into tests and losses, which is majorly our topic for today, actually. And you mentioned tests in terms of like health, which we don't have control about.
Of course.
And I think I'm the biggest candidate for speaking of tests and health, which I
Yeah.
wanted to get into on the show. So, also being in the medical profession, I would like you to give us a quick overview in terms of like a general sense of health and then a personal sense of health.
Yeah. So, in medical terms, when you say health, it is the complete absence of any disease. That's what medically it's been noted to be. But when you actually sit down and understand the true meaning of health, you'd understand health doesn't actually mean the absence of disease. Because when we talk about disease, we would mention that, for example, if your spirituality is low, this will not be a disease, and this will not be mentioned as you not being healthy. So when I would want to explain this, I would say that health is when you have full attainment of the highest level of spirituality and also the highest level of physical well-being. That's what I will refer to as, a complete well-being of a person which is healthy.
Okay, so I don't want you to go into the part. I want us to divide this properly.
Okay.
So I want us to discuss health in the Islamic
Okay.
perspective
Okay.
and in the health perspective. But first, still go further into like the whole preventive measures around health and then managing situations where you
Yeah.
have no control over things that happen to you, but they must happen to you for a reason. So only medical, not Islamic yet.
Okay. So let's take a look at certain diseases, of course. that a person might have. So generally, with health, a person might just wake up and see that they have certain symptoms. So the way of life also has a major role to play in terms of how a person's health is. So let's say, for example, the types of food you eat and how you actually function. For example, let's say, do you exercise or you do not exercise? This will definitely have a role to play in your health. But yet again, we have certain things that just occur naturally without having predisposing effect. For example, cancer. Let's take a look at this lethal disease called cancer. Cancer can happen at any given time without you having a prior notice. You can just wake up and see rashes, and then you go to the hospital, and it's been diagnosed as you having something called, let's say, cancer of the skin, or maybe having a type of disease related to cancer. So you see, when we talk about health, and when we talk about like how these things occur, it doesn't have actually have a specific guideline. The only thing that we know as doctors, we know that if you have symptoms, then it is those are the symptoms that we will use to actually diagnose your disease. But just like I said, idiopathic diseases, which till today they don't have specific reasons. For example, the systematic lupus, which happens, you'd see that this disease has also a higher prevalence in women. But why? We don't even know why. And how does it affect the body? We still don't know till today. Why are these things happening? So in the medical line, we still have so many um, things that we haven't uncovered yet.
Sorry, please. We're going to go on a break. I'm coming. Welcome back. We have returned. I had to get rid of some side activity. So, sorry for cutting you off so abruptly. Please get into your masterclass. This is pure medical masterclass, by the way. So, Bismillah, carry on, please.
Yeah. What was the other question when you mentioned? You said about Islamic connection with health, or
Yeah, I would ask you that much later on.
okay.
So for now, I just wanted us to know the concept around preventive and like preventive ones you can prevent and ones you cannot. I think you've fairly explained everything for us.
Yeah.
So I want us to go back in time because I'm a big fan of all this. Anything that has a history, which is everything.
Yeah.
I like to know more. And I'm sure, like, if you recall, there are times where some medical conditions do not really have any identity. And
Yeah.
you have a village where someone will die, and maybe a group of people, they will lose a group of people, and then they will just blame it on evil spirits or
Exactly.
we have been cursed in our family.
Exactly.
And they don't really know exactly what these things are.
Yeah.
So, where I want to get us to is like, in terms of like advancement
Yeah.
of how we manage health,
Yeah.
how would you compare, like I explained now, back
Yeah.
in the day when they were doing these things, and now how things are done, most especially the situation of like a blood transfusion now.
Yeah.
Why does it even exist? Like, who even thought, you know what, I should give
yeah.
that person my blood before they die? Who thought this way?
Yeah. So, well, during the time how medicine has evolved, we can actually say that it has evolved way beyond our thinking. Because back in the day, just a pneumonia or just an infection, any bacterial infection can kill you right away without even, like, people with pneumonia during the days would literally just have something that we nowadays call cancer because there's no cure. But the advancement of medicine, which has brought antibiotics, of course, has actually paved the way to creating cure for all these types of. There are so many types of diseases that you can't even imagine. You can't even fathom. Like, for example, just take a look at the normal sore throat. Like, can you even imagine that a normal sore throat can kill a person without even antibiotics? Like, without bringing. And how do they even bring these antibiotics? We got these antibiotics from actually the bacteria itself. Like, for example, look at the vaccines that were given today. Like, for example, look at the mumps, look at the varicella. All these type of vaccines were actually started all by, for example, using those varicella itself. For example, we call them live attenuated vaccines and non-live attenuated vaccines. So, if, for example, using a certain, let's say, virus which has a lower dose and it will be infected in a person, which will trigger its immune system to respond to it, whereby this immune system will actually recognize it. So next time it will prepare itself to actually fight against it. So these were things that happened like way much before this time. So if people hadn't sacrificed themselves to actually do this, right now we'll be suffering from so many things. Like basically just you sitting, eating without washing your hands, you just literally be dead. Or just having like just normal cold, you just literally be dead. But look at how right now we live in a world whereby you can do anything, like basically anything, because of these antibiotics. So it's really a great advancement in medicine.
And equally, like there have been like during some particular time periods,
Yeah.
there have been times where other nations would go attack other nations, and just disease would kill them, and they'd
Disease
have
will
to
kill them.
and
Of
they'd have
course,
to go
of
back.
course.
So
That's how much it was then. That's how much it was then.
so do you feel like if people had not been traveling around the world, do you think like some particular diseases could be like stuck to regions only?
Exactly. Because if you notice, like the epidemiological variants of diseases actually happen based on where it actually started from. So I'll just take a look at the COVID-19, which happened earlier on, and look at the monkeypox virus right now. Why do you think the COVID-19 actually became an epidemic and the monkeypox is still where it is? Like, it hasn't reached that level of an epidemic because there are certain diseases that actually, because of the climate of the region, they can't actually function properly there. There are certain diseases, there are certain viruses or bacteria that you'd see, especially viruses, like they don't work with UV rays. Like UV rays actually destroy their foldings and they cannot function properly. Like so many people ask this question, like why is it that when the COVID-19 happened, like in Nigeria, there were people didn't panic, but just go outside the country, abroad, where people will actually, it was literally like a zombie apocalypse.
I agree.
It was literally like a zombie apocalypse. You cough, it's like, how you say you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
Like you cough, that's all. Like everybody, all the police, everybody will just be like after you, like
Take him
he's
away.
coughing, like just like even a joke. You don't even joke with those things. But here in Nigeria, like people see it as a joke. Like they even think it's even government based. Can you imagine? But where people are actually dying. So like I think these are one of the reasons. Look at the Ebola virus, of course. Look at the Ebola virus. Like so all these type of diseases, like actually they have a prevalence to climate. And then of course like if you don't migrate, people that migrate, let's say, like if people don't migrate, these diseases will be stuck in that place, definitely. And that's why, like, you'd see during the bubonic plague, one of the greatest plague ever to have been struck, like mankind actually felt almost 20% of the human population was lost. 20% of the human population was lost to the bubonic plague. So you see how these type of things like occur, and literally now we can boast to say that we have that advancement. To the honest truth that we even have reached the part where we say that people are using the nanotechnology to actually survive through all these things.
I have a question for
it's
that. That one, I'll ask you that one much later on. So since we are bordering close to the similarities of health in the medical sector and also in the religious and spiritual part, I am very curious as to how, we're told that no ailment has been made without its own diseases. And just for theatrics, please find any part of the Quran that has this, and let's hear it, because we are doing free tafsir for you guys, by the way. So carry on.
Yeah, basically, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Isra, He said, we have sent the Quran as a cure for all the believers. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically this is said in verse 82 for reference. So basically, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like says that the Quran has been sent as a cure for all the believing people, you know that there is something behind this. The Quran, just like how Musa alayhi salam was given the stick and he was also given the light as a miracle, the Quran was given as a miracle to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And how do you understand this as a miracle? You see that Musa alayhi salam, what does he do? He uses his stick changes to a snake, and then he strikes it on the ground, and then the sea parted. But now look at the Quran. We don't have all these miracles. But I assure you, one thing that when you delve deeper and deeper, you'd understand that the Quran, all the verses of the Quran is actually a miracle by itself. For example, let's take a look at the first miracle, the Surah Al-Fatiha. This surah is known as a surah of ruqya. A surah of ruqya, it means that a surah that can actually be a cure for anything. And mind you, so if people are actually doing ruqya, you know how people get possessed by all these supernatural, the
Yeah.
jinns and all these things, and even people are afflicted by cancer. And then you go to a doctor and you tell him okay, I have this, I have this, I have this. I tell you, wallahi, if you put the Quran as a first choice in your treatment guideline, and of course you take the normal treatment they do,
Yeah.
but you take the Quran, wallahi, wallahi, you'd see amazing things that you yourself will believe that the Quran is a ruqya. Have you forgotten the story of the man that came where he was given poison and he said Bismillah? Just because of this simple but yet profound Bismillah that he said, but he was not afflicted by the poison. So these are things that when you believe in these verses of the Quran, like they are verses that they work in miraculous way. I have met a person. He's 72 years old. He stays in the UK. He has multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis means when all of the organs in your body are failing one after the other. So he was talking to his doctor. He told him this disease that I have, Allah can cure it for me. And the doctor was actually telling him he's a non-believer, of course. He was telling him how is this possible? Like, we already have the diagnosis of what's happening to you. Like, medically, of course, that's what they say. Medically, it doesn't fit human understanding that this will be cured. But what did he say? He said that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that this Quran is sent as a cure, then this Quran can cure me. And where have you left where people will literally come and they have cancer, the next day they don't have cancer? How is this medically explained? Cancer means like the proliferation of the cells of your body. Your cells will just decide that this is your cell. It will just decide to be 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that, and it'll start growing in size non-stop. Nothing can stop it. It's just like it's just like it has been given an order to keep growing and don't stop and just keep going down the lane. So these are things that you can just wake up and see that it's all gone. How are the explanation of this? I've met so many stories and people where they've actually believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the cure of all things. He is the shifa, he is the healer, and he is the person that cures everything. And using the Quran, of course, and then look at the story of Ibrahim and say, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ during that time. So these are, examples that we can use. And that's why, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, a reference to, the stories of the Prophet so that we can use in our lives or make it as a guideline that we can follow. So this is it.
Amazing stuff. You see, gold mine right here. So, I always wanted to ask this question, and then
Yeah.
now I have the chance to ask it. So, this whole placebo effect thing, where you take a pill for something and you just
Yeah.
believe that you have a headache, Panadol does the job. So, I believe, like you've just said now, like there are particular du'as that where you focus on,
Yeah.
they are the ones that do the job for you. So,
Of course.
personally, for you now, are there go to du'as that you go that you reach for the moment you have like a headache or something as a prolonged illness,
Yeah.
relating it to the placebo effect I'm asking about now?
Yeah, of course, of course. For example, first of all, let's understand what's the placebo effect. The placebo effect is the positive outcome that a patient believes that will actually give him a positive outcome for his treatment. So, for example, let's say I'll drink this water and believe that this water will cure my headache, and actually it does. So, this is the power of the mind. So, people actually in some other countries see that they actually try to strengthen their mind. Why? Because the mind has actually a special power of itself. Like, there's how you actually train your mind, and it will actually work in certain ways that you will never imagine. Look at how people do the mind training. Like, you'd see people will just actually literally sit down in, let's say, a deserted place just to train their mind. Let me give you an example. Like if a person comes to a doctor, we have what we call the white coat syndrome. This is when someone sees a doctor with a lab coat, automatically his blood pressure rises. So this actually, how does it work? It has no medical influences, but it is the mind. It is the mind. It is the mind telling you that now you're seeing a doctor and now he's going to check you. So automatically your blood level rises.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. The same thing that is giving you that white coat syndrome. That's the same thing that will actually, when you are treated by a doctor, for example, you believe that this doctor is a person that no matter what he tells me to do, he'll cure me. And that is why, like, if a doctor will tell you to take Panadol for stomach ache, Panadol for, let's say, diarrhea, you'd actually see it works, but you don't even understand
Why?
how it works, but it still works. And that's the placebo effect. It's actually the power of the mind. And when he asked about the du'as that would actually, like, one of the personal du'as that I normally do since I was a child, since my sheikh always actually tells me to do it. If I'd had a headache, I'd recite Surah Al-Fatiha 7 times while holding the place. And mind you, just like I mentioned earlier, Surah Al-Fatiha is known as ruqya, a surah that gives you like self-healing. It has a self-healing of itself. Okay, these 7 verses of Surah Al-Fatiha. So yeah, that's what. And mind you, like how it works, like it literally works. Having the conviction, the belief that okay, like Allah is the one that heals, and He will heal me, and automatically see it's gone. Like, mashallah.
All right, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. So, as we're entering the deeper part of the Quran now, just bless us with 1 or 2 verses again. Because me, I want to hear the qira'ah, because people have not heard enough. Just 1 or 2 qira'ahs of yours that mention physical health, diet,
Okay.
all those relevant things that matter to the human body.
Okay.
That they don't take in, they don't understand or don't really care about. They just go freely. So diet, physical activity, and all the way, even rest.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
rest. Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's start with the rest. So one of the verses I always use everywhere I go, it's in Surah Al-Naba, which says, وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا. This verse, actually, we can talk about it the whole day. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you. He knows everything that He has created inside you.
Yeah.
Like exactly how it functions. Exactly to the last cell of how it receives. Because one thing is, like, in every part of your body there's a cell that that has a responder. Like it gives what's happening. It gives like information to the brain, and the brain knows what's happening. So one of the things that will actually like make you get surprised is that being that Allah knows our body and knows how it functions. Allah says, "Waja'alna nawmakum subata." I have created sleep for you to rest. I have created sleep for you to rest. So Allah is reminding you, just like I said, Allah is having, the Quran is just basically like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking to us. He created us, but he's having a conversation with us. He's having a conversation with us. Imagine there's no rest. Imagine that we don't have rest. We don't sleep. We don't have, our brain will not be able to function, because basically when you're sleeping, your body goes into sleep mode. What is the sleep mode? It means that your heartbeat goes slower. Your brain actually shuts down some organs, like not shut them down, but reduce the function, and then focus more on self-repair, like all those parts that needs to be repaired. And then you wake up and you're fully awake. You don't know what's happening. You don't even know how it happened. And then, khalas, like you're good to go. So this is it's actually one of the profound verses of the Quran that Allah has mentioned rest. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kulu min tayyibati ma razaqnakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, He said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kulu min tayyibati ma razaqnakum washkuru lillahi in kuntum iyyahu ta'budun. He mentions that you should actually eat of what good He has given you. This means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that you should eat healthy. You should eat food. You should not eat junk food. You should not basically like just eat whatever you like. You like no, you can actually eat junk food, but in a moderate
Yeah, I
consumption. Of
understand.
course, in
It's
a
just
moderate
funny that
consumption. In a moderate consumption. But you eating, for example, junk food like every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like 3 times a day. Of course, this is you telling you're not giving your body its needful rights.
Yeah.
And of course, like that's why I tell people like when you are always talking about like okay, like you know your body and it's your body. You can eat whatever you want, like when you take a look at inside how your body functions, like there's what we call like the deprivation of organs, like when organs actually don't get enough, for example, like oxygen. And what causes that? It's when you don't exercise. And that is why, like, for you to have like a full body, how can I say, full body functioning, you need to actually do all these things like exercise, eating the right thing, make sure that you're having all these things right. And that's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Isra also, when he says that وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, it means that you shouldn't make yourself commit suicide or actually do this. Is related to actually you eating things or maybe self-deprivation. For example, you clearly know that maybe smoking, you clearly know that eating these certain things will actually is
you.
harmful to your body, but you still continue doing it. It means you're going against the rights of your body. Yeah.
So, amazingly, now we all know that
Yeah.
you do yours and your body is also speaking to you.
Of course, of
So
course.
please listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen. And even a slight headache is a message to you that
It's a
something
slight
is
image,
going
yeah.
on.
That's why, like, every headache has its own meaning. That's what they say. Like every headache, when it's at the forefront, when it's at the forehead, when it's the occipital part, when it's at the side, it also has its meaning for hunger, for rest, for stress, for any strenuous activity. So it's just your body telling you like, okay, you need to do this. It's just like a message being passed. Yeah.
So amazingly, I've noticed since we started talking, yeah, we've been entering a lot of medical things, and me, I know like you people in your field have a lot of branches.
Yeah.
And since we are given us a free masterclass now, I think you can help us with understanding how you chose the niche down to what you do now, and how others too can also like find their niche in the whole spectrum of medicine.
Yeah, also in the spectrum of medicine, just like you said, the spectrum is just like it has an array of so many things. Like basically, you'd say like everything is just been given. Like you choose this or this or that. If not this, then this. If not this, then that. So like when I started with my journey of medicine, actually it was out of curiosity. Like since at the age of 10, I always just read this encyclopedia about the human body and just imagine like how does the human body functions. Like basically, I would see a chicken just moving around. I'll be like, how does he even walk? Like, why does he have two legs like that? Like, how does he see? So with this curiosity, it gave me an edge to okay, like this is what you need to do. You need to be a doctor. But actually, I didn't even want to be a doctor. I actually wanted to be a researcher. Why? Because I actually wanted, like, there's this part of me that till today, like, has this feeling that I want to, bring, like, an advancement or, like, let's say, a breakthrough to a certain type of disease. Like, because basically with medicine, you'd see, like, so many branches. For example, we have pediatrics, we have like gerontology, we have like oncology and all these parts. So like you choosing any part of medicine will actually it comes from how you work in the hospital. So basically, if you've been working with different departments, like once you go to this department, you'd see how it's not even how you even perform, how much you love doing what you do. So, for example, let's say if you're working in internal medicine and then you see people with these systemic diseases, and then you see how much you love actually working with them, then that's your calling. So, but with me, I'm still into, because I remembered I actually wanted to be a pediatrician, which is a doctor for kids. Then I eventually switched again to internal medicine. So it happens when you work in the hospital, you actually switch based on where you're being positioned. So where you're being positioned, you see, okay, these are the patients you're having. Okay, are you having more skills through this, or are you having more skills in this department? Yeah. So, but I still have a feeling that my niche will be when I eventually become like a researcher, or let's say like maybe biomedical engineer or something like that. That's not something that I can do that will actually bring a breakthrough for mankind. I still have that belief. We can
Amazing.
still win the Nobel Prize.
Inshallah, very soon. And as you can see, we have contributed by listening to his story. We are part of the journey as well.
Of course, of
And
course.
speaking of bringing the change to the entire thing.
Yeah.
During my foundation years, I think I'm going to brag small now. I wanted to be a doctor, but it didn't happen. It did happen. So at the time, I used PowerPoint to do
Oh,
a small
yeah.
animation of a kind of I read about something called leukocytosis.
Okay,
Yeah, I didn't know what it was before.
Yeah.
I just wanted to discover other things. So I found this leukocytosis, and I figured that it's when you have excess white blood cells.
Yeah, access white blood cells.
And I thought, you know what? I watch a lot of anime cartoons, and I realized that they have solutions where some
Yeah.
things are impossible, but then they really are not. So I thought,
Yeah.
why not like design something that can be injected into the system, and then it kind of like scans the excess white blood cells, reduces them occasionally,
Yeah.
until all is done. So like it keeps count of what's in the body,
Yeah.
make sure that it doesn't exceed this amount of count, and then just that you go for replacement. I mean, like feasibility wise,
True.
we figure it out. I think like when the time is right, we shall see this. I'm giving you people now. You can go and
No,
do
definitely,
research.
definitely. Like just like he said, like we're in this journey together. Like we started together and we finished together. Inshallah, bismillah.
Okay, so now as we're about to wrap up, now I want to make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
So he's a doctor. I'm a patient. So we're going to do a little bit of just to show you how good he is at what he does. So I work. This is me walking to his office now. Oh, hello, sir. Something is wrong with me, and you cannot ask me what I think it is, and you can just pick a problem for me and solve it.
Yeah. This is basically like in medicine we call it clerking.
Okay.
So this is basically trying to you finding out like what the patient has. So hello, Mr. Yasser.
Hello, doctor.
How are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah, good.
I can see a smile on your face. It means you are happy.
For today only.
For today only. So if you're smiling, what brings you to this hospital today?
I couldn't sleep last night.
You couldn't sleep. MashaAllah. Okay. Have you had any type of sleep disturbances in the past?
No, I sleep on time always. This was so recent, and I don't know what happened.
Okay, so basically, you know that sleep deprivation is called insomnia, yeah? And we have different types of insomnia. Would you regard this as you having an insomnia?
I don't think so.
Okay, what would you call it?
Even if it was an insomnia, I think this was the beginning, and I think
Okay.
if it should be something that I may have noticed recurrently.
Okay.
Yes.
So is there something you're thinking about? Something that has been disturbing you?
Not particularly. I think I'm very good. I sleep okay, eat okay, I do my work, and I don't. So that's why it's whereas I'm here. I don't know what's
Okay,
happening.
and is there any medication you're taking?
Nah, just my normal organic honey and other things that I take normally.
How would you say the activities of your day are?
Very strenuous actually.
Okay.
I go out from 6 a.m. I go to the farm first, handle my business, and then I go to the office. I come back after Isha, and then
Okay.
I hope to sleep around 9.
How about usage of technological device?
My work requires me to be in front of the screen daily for over 10 hours. I'm always in front of the screen.
So
Yeah.
this particular sleep deprivation that you had, have you used how would you say, how many hours have you used your phone?
As I said,
Before
I'm
you
in front
slept?
of the screen for over 10 hours, both the
Okay.
laptop and my phone overall.
So what I would advise is you actually staying away from that, bright light.
Okay.
That bright light, we always call it like the bright light of doom.
Interesting. Very poetic.
Yeah, because like those bright light you see, those are things that actually hinders the melatonin in your body, and that's why like you see some people go to the pharmacy and they have melatonin pills. So basically, your brain actually enters a state whereby whenever there's darkness, automatically the melatonin kicks in. Natural melatonin, of course, like your body produces it, and boom, sleep comes. When light comes, and that's why we have sunrise. Like, look at how beautiful it is. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this possible. Like, once there's sunrise, why do you think the sunrise comes and then it wakes us up? Because whenever, like, lights enters your eyes, even when your eyes are closed, melatonin cancels. And then you wake up.
So what's the difference between melatonin and serotonin?
So serotonin actually is another type of neurotransmitter that is being released by the brain for certain actually type of let's say maybe happiness or maybe but melatonin is actually for sleep.
I
So you
see.
can see that it's actually beautiful why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make, just like I said in the form of us, I said waja'alna nawmakum subata and waja'alna layla libasa again. Like look at the verses. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا, Allah has created night as well as a covering. And then وَجَعَلْنَا نَهَارَ مَعَاشًا, He has created what day for you to do your activities. You see how like
That's
mashallah,
impressive.
it's the connection.
That's
Wallahi.
that's so
So
impressive.
basically that's how it is. So one of the things you do is just try to stay away from the bright screen and then close your eyes and inshallah you'll be getting that, good sound sleep.
Thank you very much, doctor.
Inshallah.
Thank you. I'll see you never.
Inshallah, see you soon. That's when the doctor tells somebody see you soon, you be like,
I
no,
know,
no, no, no,
exactly. Well, I know.
only
So,
if you abide Allah.
yes, yeah, okay. So, for all the episodes, I've been interested in asking things related to the current Gen Z, and
Yeah.
I would like to know, like, in the medical field,
Yeah.
I believe like we've been seeing a lot of success rate in terms of procedures that are being taken on,
Yeah.
on patients now, and I think when we have successful procedures, we have successful jobs.
Of course,
yeah,
of
and then we
course.
have young people that are looking towards these jobs.
Of course.
So, we are glad that it has taken a digital leap. Would you say that the young people that are born today are
Yeah.
lucky to have been born in a time where nanotech is doing a lot for people? You can do like heart surgeries, do a lot of even robots.
Of course, definitely. Because just like the Gen Z, as we call it, they're actually having a paradigm shift of technology. Whereas like unlike during our time, you'd see like technology hasn't reached that advancement yet. Like right now, basically we have so many machines that actually, give you the full diagnosis of what you're looking for. Like just you going to the hospital, seeing a doctor, like it has been limited. Like look at China now. Like China has actually even gone to a whole new level of having an AI robot. Like a doctor that he's a robot, but you actually give you a diagnosis and everything. Like we even have some AI technologies that will just literally like look at your face and then from your emotions, from how your face is, they can give you like the diagnosis, the psychological problem you're having. So look at all these things. Like these are medical advancement. When you talk about nanotechnology from the word nano is just like very little. Just like how we have your nano SIM card. Like nano means small. So when we say nanotechnology, it's like trying to actually have a breakthrough using smaller parts of things to use. So for example, if they will use a stent is, for example, if your stomach, when you eat food, it goes from your stomach to duodenum, yeah, like has. So now when, for example, they do a surgery, like maybe the Billroth 1 or 2, this is a type of surgery where they connect the duodenum, okay, to the stomach. So when they do these things, like sometimes they use artificial what they call prosthetics. Like for example, in the heart, they use like pacemakers or others. So the idea of nanotechnology is to make it smaller. Because the bigger it is, the more like your body will actually have an immune response and will be keep giving you immuno suppressants. Okay, but now making it smaller, like for example, the hearing aid. Like look at the hearing aid where you actually have to put something. Now imagine having something smaller, something that will actually not be seen, but it can still work the way it is. Or something that will actually, like, let's say, for example, people that have
Pacemaker.
Guillain-Barré syndrome. Guillain-Barré syndrome is a type of syndrome whereby, like, you'd have an infection. It's an autoimmune disease where your body is actually fighting itself, but it is affecting your nervous system. Literally, you have like paralysis in your leg. So imagine that we can have a nanotechnology that will actually correct this, like rewrite the nervous system, not fighting itself.
That's mad. That's hacking. That's cheat code, man.
That's the cheat code.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, that's something amazing.
You can
Yeah.
see it's how excited all these things sound, and
They are very exciting.
And I want it to sound very possible in our country too, which I
Yeah.
also want you to get into now in terms of like the improvements that you've noticed in our own medical
Yeah,
sector currently.
in Nigeria, actually, one of the things I would say is telemedicine. Telemedicine actually paved way. For example, like if you what is telemedicine? Telemedicine is like where a doctor consulting a patient through the internet, like virtually. Like 10 years ago, we didn't have the internet that would be able for a person to diagnose. Like right now, we have just using your phone. just having data and enough like a battery, like you can actually call someone through video call. There was no video call 10, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, but just this, having this telemedicine, anywhere you are, you can have that, consultation. And also you can see that infrastructures for health facilities right now, not in, of course, like the rural areas, but now looking in the urban area, like here in Abuja, like you'd see like there are so many specialist hospitals, whereas before we'd have like only just one or two specialist hospitals. Look at the machines, the hemodialysis machine. Before you'd be counting them. You'd be like, okay, in this hospital there's one hemodialysis machine, two there. But now look at the amount of specialist hospital with so many hemodialysis machine. So it's, of course, like we're getting there slowly, but yet very slow. You understand? Very, very slow. So inshallah, I just hope like things will actually get there, because like there was one time I was working with this health non-governmental health organization, like this NGO. So it was mentioned that during the time whereby the CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control in the US, they provided Nigeria with enough drugs and everything that would actually use as a preventive measure for HIV patients. Guess what happened? Nigeria actually has to go, they went to China and requested for a lower, like quality drugs for people to use, and people were using these drugs and having swollen eyes, because the adverse effects of these drugs were too much, and it was low quality. And these are the things that actually I believe, like, once these counterfeit drugs are banned, because there are so many drugs that actually banned, that they need to be banned. Like, for example, look at this drug called Novask. Novask is a drug that people use for the heart, like people with hypertension. In India, this drug is banned. Like, it has been banned 10 years ago, but we're still using it here. And we are still using it as the first line of treatment. So you can imagine, like, if we keep using these things as a way of prophylaxis, then definitely we will not be able to get there. That's why, like, I think the first step we need to actually do is to have a way with these drugs, get quality drugs. How many times will you take paracetamol but it won't work? You take like 5 of them, but it will not work. You have to go and get like Panadol Advanced, or maybe ibuprofen, or even advanced like Cocodamol, or all these things, for you to get what you want, because the drugs are of low quality, and they do it intentionally. This is the main problem we're having, and that's why, like, if we need to get there, we need to start with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So please, all of you, pharmacists and co, join hands together and make us feel better. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And our final question for the day, and we can properly open this box. So you can see there are a lot of people here that are disturbing. They want to eat too. So, but we are going to do it properly now. How can you say, how can one's spirituality influence one's overall health?
Well, with spirituality, if you attain that spirituality, just by you having that peace, you see, in the world of medicine, there's no soul. This is what you have to know. Psychology, medicine, any type of branch, there's no soul. It is just like how it functions. If this water will give this water and this water Krebs cycle or anything, that's it. There must be an explanation. There is nothing called a soul. If you go and steal, if you go and do something bad, they will tell you that this is your predisposition. Like, this is how your brain has been wired to function. Like, you've been brought up in a certain way whereby you have gotten maybe like let's say, yeah, just like you said, kleptomania, which is gotten maybe by a hereditary disorder or something like that. So there must be an explanation. But in Islam, we don't believe that. We believe there's a soul. And we believe that what is the opening of the soul? What is the door to the soul? The doorway to the soul? They are the eyes. They are the eyes. How do we, like, if we have a doorway to the soul, how then, of course, can we actually make this soul be better? The tongue. And of course, like, the appendages, the limbs. Because by doing any act of ibadah, like, wallahi, if you'd wake up right now and choose what you see with your eyes, and choose what you say with your mouth, and choose what you do with your hands, wallahi, if you are a person that listens to music like 247, wallahi, one day you play music and you just feel like it's a disturbance. You feel like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Because, like, you'd feel like it's just like when a person is actually committing sin, there's a black spot in his heart that keeps growing. and keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing. And then what happens? If you actually do istighfar and try to make yourself better, it's just like having a Coca-Cola that's black and keep pouring water till it gets white, till it gets clear. And this is the same thing. So when we talk about spirituality, when you have attained the right form of spirituality, you'd notice that your body have that inner peace. So whatever comes to you, be it headache, be it type of like, let's say, any type of disease, you'd feel you have that tawakkul. You'd have that tawakkul in you, and you have that inner peace. And just like I said the first time when we talk about placebo effect, yeah, when you have enough peace in your heart and you don't actually bother yourself, because for example, to be honest, like I don't know if you've noticed something. If you're playing football or maybe doing anything and you cut yourself, you'd have to see it before it starts paining you.
Yes, true.
If you don't see it, you can basically
goes on.
lift this table. And with the hand, have you ever seen someone that has cut off his hand, but he's still trying to carry a bucket or do something with his hand? Then he saw that his hand has been cut off. Like, oh my God. It is the power of the mind. It is the mind. The mind is so strong. It is so strong that if you can actually like have that spirituality, your mind automatically will have that power. And that is where it comes. Where, for example, you'd be having, let's say, simple as malaria, and just because you just have that firm belief and firm taqwa that, you know, this is a test from Allah and it will go away. And it's a way of Allah trying to expiate your sins or try to make you elevate your status. You can see that because you don't bother yourself that much, that disease will not actually be something worrisome. You can just wake up and like shrug it off. Like, khalas, it's just gone.
Let's go.
Yeah, so that's how spirituality actually works. It's something like, and that's why like we have imams like Ibn Qayyim. He mentions that you see the spiritual being of a person is actually stronger more than you can imagine. Like two things come in common that makes a person, let's say, like impenetrable. Your du'as and your spiritual well-being. When you combine these two, believe me, like you'd be like a barricade, like where there's nothing, like a fortress that whereby nothing can actually pierce through. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Sheikh Abdul.
Talib al-ilm.
Yeah, the student of knowledge and the Sheikh that has blessed us with a lot of medical knowledge and spirituality knowledge. And thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry for the background noise. We have a family background, so we are in nature talking about nature and getting better. So see you guys in the next episode. And as of course, we are going to eat now.
Fi amanillah.
Yeah.